Okay, I should have prepared everything, but we're just gonna go for it. This is a very exciting discovery. It was discovered by another YouTube channel, not in our community, but not in the mainstream either, which is very important, which is why I can show it to you, and it hasn't just been buried or demolished. So I don't know, I might go long. Let me get right to it. Thank you for being here this week. God bless, and welcome. Okay, China. In my last video, I showed a couple examples of Chinese ruins, and very special ruins, not official. And here we're looking at China from above, and it's just to the east of the Silk Road and this great desert that has been completely cooked. Let's look at some pictures first. So it's been dubbed the Hejin city fortress, not far from the Yellow River, dating back to the Qin dynasty. Qin. It's known for its aluminum reserves. So there's a bunch of aluminum buried here. So here's a look at the channel, Neural Pathways, the story of the Hejin fortress. So yeah, anyway, this is it. We have this brick, and I don't think you would find this in 1,000 years from up here. Let's zoom in and show you what it looks like. So a bunch of this, I mean like hundreds of miles of this, and not really that impressive. Of course, our communist Chinese friends do not want us having access to street views or any photos. You see there's no pins or photos available, and really poor resolution. But what we can see is these structures. Look at this right angle here. Boom, boom. This is not natural. This is not lava or fault lines. And it looks like they've really done a number here. A lot of scraping and terraforming. And I have no doubt now from the evidence that we're going to look at that there was a lot more, and they just missed this. I hate to even share, but it will open our eyes because I think a lot more exists. So again, I just want to show you this landscape. We have this amazing ruin here, and I guess we're going to have no choice but to just watch this video. So here we go. This channel, he tells the story in the video. I'm not sure how he even began to find this. I originally saw a few screenshots floating around, and I grabbed them and eventually found the source. And this channel tells the story of how he hired someone in China who lived 5 hours away on a train, and he hired him on like Fiverr or Upwork or one of those freelance sites to come out here and get drone footage. And this is absolutely amazing. It's the new greatest photo in the world. What is today? The end of 2024? New greatest photo right here. So much to say, but let's look at some different angles. So here we have this mesa, or we would be told a natural mesa in some lines of thinking, and even mine in the past, the mesas were tree stumps. And I don't discount the giant trees. I believe there are tree stumps. This is not one of them. Now, while I was watching this video, I was looking at everything around here, including down here. Have a little look. Can I zoom? I can zoom. Look at this. Some pyramid. And again, I have no shame now. I am definitely looking for structures because we have evidence right here. And we'll look at some better resolution. We're just getting started. But what you can see is windows and doorways all around this. It's not just this one. This end here is the best and most preserved pocket of preservation. But you're going to see here a lot more. So even here on the top, you can see cross sections like roof supports. And again, look down here. Look at these structures. This is all off limits. I mean, this is as beautiful as the Grand Canyon, and there's at least 50 times more of it than the Grand Canyon. Certainly a wonder of the world from just a geological perspective. But this is not geology. this is old architecture. And thank God. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Thank God for these areas just being sealed in time due to communism and not allowing backpackers to trek all over this or turn them into national parks. But it is part of the plan too. This is the future of humanity. These will become parks and all of these sites will be sanitized. And this is what everything looked like. These existed in the West and again everywhere. So again, you can see sections here. You can see that all of this has filled in. The building has essentially been so heated that it's shrunk. Materials imploding on themselves. Again, look back here. Mega cities here. Pretty well preserved. Just look at this. Here we go. Did you notice the hole in the top up there? There. You see the hole? And you see the edges of the building? And here we go. And here she is. Maybe I can change my resolution. So here's the front. My resolution really sucks. And look back here, you can see like an old wall. Look at this wall back here. And perhaps it was a canal. These are the banks, a road along the top. This is a building. Look at the perfectly spaced entryways. One here, one here, one here. We see like a turret preserved up here. And we can also see the transitioning. This is a great study for how this event must have shaped out, just examining the damage of this building. Now, when dealing with meltology, I think we're dealing with an event possibly thousands of years ago. This is another site nearby. You can see how this structure has almost become pure rock. You can still see turrets around this tower, and back here you can see turrets, like a turret wall, and a building right here, partially melted, almost turning back into stone. Some foundation over here. Now, the maker of this video does not share my beliefs, and I don't care. I thank him. Excellent research, just doing his part, hiring someone in China to go out and get this drone footage. And this is where, like I said, we can find all the remaining evidence is in less developed countries and socialist ones that are off limits to the rest of the world. North Korea is another great example. Now here we can see the man he hired. Here's his back, probably pretty risky for him. And we're told that these are farms up here, but look how they've tried to farm all over, and I'll show you examples. They've come up here already and scrape with heavy equipment, scrape the top. Perhaps they're preparing to plant over it. And what do we see? We see building structure. We see iron running through this concrete. Here, this one has been bent, some piece of steel. I'll show you more examples of this in a minute. And here's the structure. Boom. So he's sitting right across from it. And why does a pocket of preservation survive like this? If I didn't burn so much wood, both indoors and outside, it's like a hobby of mine, kind of like math, I wouldn't know what I'm seeing here. What has happened is so much heat from below, all around, drawing upwards, and here you have an entrance. So now the intense heat gets sucked in through the bottom so much. I mean, look how it has polished this entrance, almost unrecognizable, looking natural. And once it began to move up, the heat started to draw like a fireplace, blowing out through the top and preserving this area, creating for just enough time a slightly cooler face right here, because most of the heat was drawing up like a fireplace. And we can see, we'll zoom in a minute here, but we can see perfect bricks on both sides, and he sticks the camera in here, we'll have a look. Perfect bricks fusing into this. Still on the top, perfect bricks because it was cool here. Like I said, this is completely opposite as this firestorm sucking in from down here. And then we see preservation here, how it's dark. It has not cooked this material down to clay. This is also a little bit preserved, and we might find some bricks enmeshed in here. This is how you get a melted brick avalanche. This is an avalanche. avalanche of brick. It happens real quick and then it's over, and just little pockets like this remain. So here we are, a closer look. Now we're talking. You see how everything else looks like Utah or the southwest deserts of North America, and just a little pocket, and not even some junk brick. Look at the way they have placed these bricks, really decorative. So much dimension. The most difficult way to build. This is complex. This is not just some ancient people that dug into a mountain. And the mainstream would tell us that they did, of course. That's always what we're told. Fortunately, there is no story here, and this is essentially southeast of Tartary. No story. Discovered in 2023. Here again at the top. I think his drone has poor resolution, but I'm so thankful. This not only is a melted building, all of this around here is a melted city. Tons of openings from what I can glean. Tons of right angles and walls. Now I went to another place nearby. This is not it. This reminds me of a lot of the buildings we see in India that are melted down to blobs and are better preserved on the inside. Thank God for India and their history and willingness to share history. Probably one of the greatest as far as preserving history. So let's take a quick pause. Okay, part 2, midnight, and I just took a little drive heading towards Salt Lake City, and it was so crazy. The Christmas shopping frenzy, out of control. Otherwise, it's a very sacred time of year, if you could allow yourself to be still. I thought we would look at an article, and I think this is the same channel. This is him, his website, and his research. Again, I salute him for this. And like I said in part 1, I have different thoughts about what we're seeing here. But nonetheless, all of us can come together and have a discussion. So here, this is the Hejin City Fortress Revisited. In November of 2023, I stumbled upon an article on a Chinese news site about an ancient, mysterious site, which truly captured my imagination. This place, which seemed to be totally untouched by mainstream historians and archaeologists, featured what looked like a floating door on a flat-topped mountain. So that's how it all began. A Chinese news site was the original source. So here we can see a closer look, and I'd like to go back to the video in a moment, but let's continue with what he says. This site he named the Hejin City Fortress in the Shanxi province of China. Here we have the coordinates, and here we can see those scrapings with the iron pieces running through, and we can see the other side of the door right here, as if there was some kind of collapse here of the structure, or the opposite, like I proposed, more of a blowout, like a chimney. And here's the man who captured this footage, and in this image we can see another doorway down here. It's as much as I can zoom in, and no doubt where there is one, there's usually more. Here we can really get a nice close-up, and we do seem to have gold here. We see a transitioning of this brick material to this mud. You can see bits of brick, and then it just goes to complete junk. Here a little brick, barely though, but it's these edges that are worth examining carefully. Here also we can see brick chunks. Here one, beautiful bricks here too, large. We see the mortar dripping out, turning into this essentially. And here is where I disagree. I mean, this is really taking a leap here, talking about the fortress being a defense against Japanese bandits in ancient times. This is what the tour guide told him about it. So local history, oral history. The single entrance in the front was used as a choke point a classic defense tactic in military history. So similar to the Star Fort, just stupid, as if anybody would have done this. No, this is a pocket of survival. Nobody did this. And like I said, because of the drafting, I believe that created just enough of a cool spot to preserve this. He says inside the fortress was even more impressive. And here we can see another entrance, like I discussed before. This one didn't make it. Same thing happened. Sucking in of air, blowing out through the top. But in this case, totally destroying the brick. But we can still see it. Even with this grainy picture, I'll try to zoom it in when I edit even more. But we can see the same thing, the same art with a square around it. And I've shown you things like this in Utah. And here again, another one that has not fared as well. Even look at the square face of this building. You see how this side is clearly showing that this was a structure. We can almost see two towers up here. Do you see this? Two towers, a wall around the thing. So I would love to go here, but I think we have a lot to examine. So here's a close-up, and you can really see dripping and melting here. Mortar lines, but completely alchemizing into another material. Here again, you can faintly see what looks like almost the inside of a oven or kiln. And see faintly, absolutely destroyed bricks. And we can look through. And these endpoints would be the most interesting. Some of the last bricks. And even down here on the floor, we can see what looks like bricks. 1, 2, you see brick lines, but they're completely cooked out, right? I don't know. As always, I want to say I don't know. This is just me and my thoughts, really. Unfiltered, unhindered. And here, this is really great. Really, really great. My favorite, again. That transition point from brick to mush. But this is still pretty good. This is still more solid. The lighter in color, the more cooked out it is. So the fact that it's still dark here is an excellent transition point. I would love a high res right here. And what's mind-blowing when you do this research is here we are studying this little pocket of survival, and you realize that it's all of it. It's everything, of course. And everything around was almost this little pocket's fate, but it made it. It survived. Historical context and local legends. Like I said in my last video, we must take everything, even the modern mainstream BS, and in this case there isn't any, and the legends, also slightly distorted, of old, and come up with other ideas. We must feel free to question our world, not feel guilt or shame for anything, unless it causes harm to another. This is the natural law. But I must also be frank, and here on this website in 2023, saying this was a military bastion, carved out shelters for the community, cave dwellings for livestock and locals. No. My heartbeat is about 68 on average per minute. So I really am excited and a little worried. I shouldn't be. Perhaps I could hire this same person. Perhaps we could as a community and have them find more. And also get better images. Although these are great, I am absolutely thankful. And let's end this by looking at the second half of his video, just to get a couple more perspectives on this site. Okay, so this is great. It looks like he's going to take us along the side here. So you can see these are essentially two structures, and one has been scraped, and we can see the outline of the structure through the vegetation. We can see this other door, and here a pretty good shot of the transitioning. I mean, nobody would do this, right? Let's be logical here. Let's just be perfectly clear. Nobody would start building the brick mid-mud. Step one in understanding what we're seeing here. This is like a melted candle with some decor on the side of it that has survived. And when you look carefully, you can see bricks, really reminding me of the lime kiln evidence I've seen. But in this case, it's, in my opinion, undoubtedly a building. Here is a brick up here. Let's see if I can zoom in a little. There we go. And here we are. And we can see the bricks continue on the inside. And I imagine the backside of this entrance is in pretty good shape too, if my theory on the heat drawing in through this point, especially down here, just cooking the base of this entrance. Here again, a look. This would be fascinating. I hope he takes us in. He's good with the drone. Here we go. And we didn't get the shot I was looking for, but he is bushwhacking a little. Who knows? Here we go. We're going back in. And he didn't turn around at that point. But that's okay. He did a great job. Like I said, probably risky to do anything out of the ordinary in this communist nation. And as I've discussed in past videos, the Chinese culture and writings going back to the Yellow Emperor are some of my favorites. Absolute wisdom, not understood today, was coming out of this region long ago. And I believe that they were carrying on this wisdom from a prior people. It's one thing to discuss Tartary, but this, in my opinion, is older than Tartary. And here again, we can see the absolute right angles of a building. Walls on the inside. Wall, wall, interior wall. Here coming up, wall. And here again, like I showed you the close-up at the beginning, iron running through this concrete. And somebody is hip to this. I don't know if we'll have time today, but I was exploring Google Earth all around here, and there's giant open pit mines, which are destruction of the old world from what I've seen over and over. Here we can see those iron cores. Another opening that has collapsed on the inside, but it would be fascinating to poke around here. Here it is again. Here we go. Awesome. I wish I knew the guy's name, but here we go. Brick, brick, brick. Thank God he zoomed into this obscurity. Let's look at a few more images if we can. I mean, blur your eyes right now. Squint. You see the building. Here again. You see the sections. You see an opening on the far left here, an arch. Equally spaced, proportionate. Even from here you can see the bricks in the arch. This part did not fare as well. And you see more openings. The main one is down here by my pointer. You see another opening here. A bunch over here, like a terrace. A terrace with other openings going into the building. This will be fascinating. Here we go. It looks like he's going there. Here, opening. One caved in right here. And then here's a look at the surrounding areas. You see what China is doing, and we've discussed this years ago with the pyramids in China. They're planting trees on them, actively covering them up. And here they're going to do the same thing. They're going to plant trees on top of this building, obscuring it for future generations. And don't think it's any different with everything now. Everything that is today, this same thing took place 75, 100 years ago, and even further back. Here we can see those other openings, 1, 2, and I have no doubt you wonder what Chief and I are doing out in the desert. A, we're having a good time getting out in nature. And B, we are seeking things like this. So I think for today, we'll leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this exploration. I look forward to continuing this along with these other researchers. I encourage them to get out there again. So for this week, I love you all. God bless, and I'll see you soon.